Okay, guys, we are back for another episode of the Candace Owens Show. The LGBT movement. What are your opinions? I have a ton of them. I don't often speak about it because it lands you into trouble pretty quickly, but we're going to have some fun and debate some serious ideas here. To join me, Rob Smith. Welcome to the Candace Owens Show.
Thank you very much for having me, America's favorite black gay Republican. It's the Candace Owens Show.
That's the tag phrase now?
That's the tag, trademark.
Okay. Are you excited? Are you nervous?
Very excited, a little bit nervous.
Right.
I feel like I'm going to get myself in even more trouble.
Right.
I feel like we'll probably get you in even more trouble if that's even possible.
Not possible.
But we're going to get into it. I'm ready.
Yeah, so here I'm going to start from just the beginning, and I'm going to talk about my experience. First experience with anybody that was ever gay was my uncle. When I was a little girl, I learned that my uncle was gay. He's HIV positive. He was in prison, which I believe that's where he was actually infected with the virus. But my version of a gay man was a thug. Like, my uncle is not like he's a pretty scary guy.
He was a homothug.
He's a homothug, a pretty scary guy. And then I got older, and then we started trending towards a different sort of, I guess, gay vibe, lesbian vibe, and the collectivism of it was interesting to me. So then it became like the LGB, lesbian, gay, bi, and trans all collectivized into one movement. What do you think about that, just as a starting point?
In the beginning, there was space for all of that, right? The LGBT had to be together because we were this movement of people that were, sexual minorities in some way. And a lot of people had to come together to kind of like build that.
Right.
But in the early days, it was very much focused on the L and the G, not so much on the B and the T. And now things have been completely shifted.
Now there's a Q.
Now there's a Q. It's actually LGBTQIAK+, which
So
I don't even know. It's the alphabet. I don't even know what a lot of that stuff means at this point. I know why we had to be together before, and I have some really good ideas about why everything has been so trans-focused nowadays. But let's take it back. The LGBT community was about gays and lesbians fighting for their rights to exist, to literally be in spaces and not be arrested or beaten or whatever for being who they are. That's why this year's the 50th anniversary of Stonewall. And, that is when people decided to rise up and say, you will not beat us, arrest us, kick us out for congregating as gay men and lesbians and bis and trans people in this space. Then we got into HIV/AIDS in the 80s, where people were protesting. People were dying in the streets in New York City. Gay men were dying in the streets. Lesbians were taking care of them. People were protesting for their right to be seen. This wasn't being reported on. They had to protest to get rights to health care, medicine, like all of these different things.
So I want to pause there because that is the snapshot of the gay movement that I have. It was something that was very severe. It was something that was very serious. It was something that needed to be listened to and deserved a platform. I'm going to fast forward to today, and I go to the restroom in a diner, and I see a sign in a bathroom that says, anybody can go here. We do not judge. Any person can use this restroom that wants to. We don't care. We don't judge. It's like the preamble.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm wondering now, I go, well, this sign could just say bathroom.
Yeah.
It would have the same effect.
But
so it seems a little more theatrical now and a little more virtue signaling as opposed to addressing something that is very severe.
Yes, it is a lot. And so to get into that, you have to understand how we got there.
Right.
Because after HIV/AIDS happened, and then the move was towards gay marriage, right? So people fought for decades. People act as if gay marriage and the marriage equality movement happened overnight. It didn't. This was decades that people were fighting for this. And when the Supreme Court ruled for gay marriage, I believe it was in 2015, it was a big moment for lesbians and gays because it was like, wow, we can get married. That was kind of like the last big hurdle. And even though we still have people that are struggling with crystal meth addiction and HIV and all that stuff, gay marriage was a really big hurdle. Right. Now, you and I both know that there is this infrastructure of I call it the nonprofit hustle, activists, whatever. So you're getting all of this money and all of this funding, but now gays and lesbians have gay marriage, and now everything is boring because I'm just a gay man. I'm boring now.
And you're married. I see the ring on your finger.
And I'm married
okay.
to a beautiful man, the love of my life. We'll talk about him in a little bit. But but now people needed something to glom onto. And that's where the transgender movement came in. And that is why so much time, energy, and attention has been put into that movement. And there's so many things going on in the trans movement that a lot of people don't understand, that they don't even understand. But they have used social media to try to push these ideas that don't really have, that are not very sound.
They're not very sound
Yeah.
and they're not very severe. And so what I say, and I work with a lot of gay people. My creative director is a gay man. He doesn't believe in gay marriage. So him and his boyfriend are not getting married, which is interesting. But I talk to him about these things and I say to him that I actually don't even understand how the T got onto the LGB. Because when I think of LGB, I think of it as a sexual preference, right?
Yeah.
When I think of a T, I think of it as a literal mental disorder. Like
Yeah.
your mental is out of whack with your physical, or physical disorder, whichever way you want to call it. But your mental and your physical are out of whack, right?
Yes.
So they're out of order,
It's
literally.
literally gender identity disorder.
So how do people, and here's what I get concerned with when it comes to the left, is they try to collectivize people, right? How do you just decide that two gay men that want to have sex are now responsible for leading the charge and showing up to demonstrate on behalf of people who are saying that I feel like a woman, but I am a man, right?
So here's the thing. I will, I got arrested at the White House protesting against Don't Ask, Don't Tell, for the right of LGBT soldiers to serve openly, because I was a gay man who served under Don't Ask, Don't Tell. I respect the rights.
Thank you for your service. We always stop and say thank you for your service. We love our vets.
Absolutely. It was for people like you to have a voice and to get these ideas out there. But you can agree that transgender people are human and agree that they deserve the same access to just the same rights and the same ideas that everybody else has. But you can also say, whoa, there's some parts of this ideology that are not clicking. It's really surprising to me right now that what straight women and other people are connecting to is this whole idea about transgender women competing against women who are born women in sports.
Right.
And I never really thought that would be the thing. I thought that this bathroom thing was going to be it, but no, that's the thing.
Of course.
And for me also, not only that, but you have this idea now. Because trans has become so big in our mainstream media that a toddler or a little kid that says, "Oh, I'm a girl," that all of a sudden it's time to put this child on hormones and to do things to this child's body that cannot be reversed. And so that's where we're at right now.
Staunchly against it, and it's disgusting. And someone says, "My child says he's this or that." Wow, if every idea that I had when I was 8 years old, my parents said, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Like when I'm 5 years old and I see I can stick my hand in fire.
Yeah.
And my parents are like, yes, do it. That's what she wants. She wants to fire your hand. No, this is why they are children and you are the adults, right? Their brains are not fully formed. You're jumping on all over the place. You have bad ideas, good ideas. It is dangerous to me in society. Where we are at right now, where we have parents who say, my child thinks, therefore he is.
But they're afraid because the thing about the left, and even LGBT people on the left, they're so afraid to have these ideas. They're so afraid to say something because they know they'll be excommunicated.
It's child abuse.
Like a lot of people say that, I didn't leave the left left me. The left left me when they said that me saying these things is transphobic. Look, gender identity disorder is a real thing. There's not a whole lot of research on this, but when kids that have gender identity disorder go to therapy to align the mental with the physical, 90% of the time you just end up with gay and lesbian adults.
Right.
When they go through puberty and go through this entire process. So for me, and I'm looking at you guys really trying to push all of this stuff on these kids. Are you just trying to make sure that there are less gay and lesbian adults? What is the point here?
Right. I think it's virtue signaling. I think the point is virtue signaling. Like, I'm such a great parent that my child woke up and thought he was this. And because I'm so open to everything and I'm so tolerant and so accepting, I'm going to let my child do whatever they want. That's actually fundamentally just poor parenting.
It's poor parenting. And to me, there's an element of homophobia in it. There's an element of homophobia into the idea that a gender nonconforming child, like if a boy says he's a girl and happens to be more feminine, no, he's not a boy, that's a girl. Like there's an element of homophobia in that. I say get the kids into therapy, like align the physical with the mental, they will end up being gay and lesbian adults.
Right.
But I get attacked and I get called transphobic, and that irritates me to no end because I do not believe I'm transphobic. I believe that I'm trying to protect young children that will end up being gays and lesbians.
Well, let's take apart the word phobia. So phobia means you have a fear of, right?
Yeah.
So I'll tell you some things that I do have a fear of when it comes to the trans movement. I have a fear of child abuse. When I saw that recent story of that child that was at a strip club, okay, a trans child at an adult strip club.
Well, no, that was he was a one of these preteen drag queens. So like a drag kid.
drag queen, a drag kid, right?
Exactly.
Accepting money and dancing on stage like that. I have a fear of that. I think that's very scary. I have a fear.
It's grooming.
When you say it is grooming, and when you do say, especially because we know that a big element of the trans space is that there's rape that goes on. These are probably the more severe issues that actually don't take a forefront when we're debating bathroom signs, right? So I have a fear of that. I also have a fear, you brought it up a little bit earlier, of feminism. I mean, we're on a collision course. When you talk about feminists say they're afraid of the patriarchy, they're afraid of men taking over into every space,
right.
and yet they invite people that literally just say they identify as male. They change nothing about themselves. They just say, I identify as a female, and now I want to compete with other females, and they are winning, unsurprisingly, every single trophy, every gold medal, and the women that have been competing and their entire lives and training get their entire records wiped out overnight by a male that just said today, I identify as a female.
Exactly. And what they're doing is they are shutting down lesbians. Like, I get called a transphobe for standing up for lesbians like Martina Navratilova, who is one of the greatest female athletes of all time, one of the greatest athletes of any gender of all time. And she stood up and said, no, I do not believe that transgender women should be competing against women in sports. She's called a transphobe.
She's called a transphobe.
She's called a transphobe.
Because she understands biology.
Because she understands biology.
Imagine
She's
if,
knocked off the board. But that is where we're at right now.
Right.
There's a woman.
Correctness is a cancer.
It's a cancer, and it's really affecting the LGBT community right now, because what's happening is the T is saying our voices are the loudest, our voices are more important. And what you see, and this is why I'm being called a transphobe right now, is because I am defending lesbians who are bullied by trans women. Women like Julia Beck, who is taking a lot of heat right now for standing up and saying things like this. Martina Navratilova, a lesbian named Miriam Ben Shalom, who I was arrested with protesting at the White House. This is a woman that served for decades, I believe, was stripped of being the Pride Parade Grand Marshal because she had said something that people said, was transphobic.
I mean, it was biology. It was like a man can beat me in virtually every athletic sport because I'm a woman and he's a male. If I sit down with you right now and we arm wrestle, you're going to win.
Yes.
Okay? So acknowledging that.
Not just because I worked out this morning.
Yeah, not just because you worked out. And somehow acknowledging these truths, and you're considered transphobic.
And we need to get to the point, Candace, where we are having real, honest conversations that are respectful on both sides, because I do not think I'm a transphobe. I think that I'm very respectful to people on all sides. But you have to get to the point where you can talk about this stuff without these racist, homophobe, transphobe, whatever. We need to start talking. And what a lot of people in the far left LGBT community want to do is want to shut down conversation.
Right.
They want to shut me down and call me transphobic. They want to shut me down and call me racist, alt-right, white supremacist, whatever, because they don't want to hear what I have to say.
Well, because there's truth. I mean, there's truth. In it. And here's my thing. Like I said, because I grew up with this very realistic depiction of what the gay rights movement was and what they were fighting for and how serious it was. And I also studied it in school. I can't remember the name of the book, and I wish I had. But it was an honest portrayal of a man that was dying of AIDS, and it was autobiographical, and it was so real to me, like what was happening. And when I see these trans debates, they just feel so gimmicky. And
because
if I was a gay person, I would just knock off the T.
Yeah. That.
I'm like, we're going back to LBG.
Well, that's what a lot of people say.
But the money is what you're talking about.
But yeah, that's the thing.
There's money there.
So I don't believe in drop the T. I don't believe in drop the T.
Hey,
I believe in
borrow from the E, drop the T. Yeah, whatever that thing is.
So I don't believe in drop the T. What I believe is that the T should not dominate all of the conversation. The T should not say, hey, lesbians, if you don't want to sleep with a trans woman, then you're being transphobic. And there's a lot of that happening.
But that's what happens when you collectivize. And this is what I'm going back to and why I say drop the T or look, maybe separate all the letters. Who knows, right? But what I'm getting to, and I get what you're saying about why they brought together the L and the G. Yeah. But what I'm getting to is just that when you collectivize, to me, it's just a means to control everyone. Yeah. When I say to you, now it's LGBTQRS, MNLMP, okay, so what are you even fighting for anymore? It's basically saying that all of you better show up every time we want something. And to me, at the core is power.
Yeah, it's power. And when you ask what people are fighting for, I don't even know if people are fighting for anything anymore, so much as just trying to tear everything down.
Right.
They're trying to tear it down. And like I said, it all comes back to money, attention, whatever. All of these LGBT organizations, and they're practically T organizations at this point, that is where they get so much attention from. That is where everything is at in that range right now. But hey, look, you still have, I'm a black gay man. Black gay men are still, 1 and 2 will still get HIV. In 2019, that will still happen.
I don't know that.
That's
don't
a
know
still
that.
real
All
thing.
I know is that only thing I know about LGBT is that they need these absurdly long bathroom signs.
Yeah.
And that is virtue signaling. Hey, to every business owner out there that has one of those bathroom signs, I just want to let you guys know, you can just write bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
It has the same effect. You don't need to be virtue signaling. You can just write bathroom. It lets me know as a woman and lets people that are with me know as males that we are all welcome
Mm-hmm.
to use the restroom.
All genders, which is what
Bathroom.
they're doing. But that is kind of where we're at right now. I have a friend that named Michael Rice that did a documentary called "Party Boy: Black Diamonds and Ice Castles" about black men and crystal meth addiction. So there's a crystal meth problem. There's an HIV/AIDS problem. These things still exist among specifically gay men. But we spend so much time talking about these transgender issues that not a lot of people fully understand. I know a whole hell of a lot about this community. I know that there are people who've desisted. There are people who identified as transgender, went through all of this stuff and decided that, hey, this is not me. I'm going to desist and go back to the sex that I was born in. So there's a lot of stuff going on right now. I don't think that we're doing a lot of these kids, especially the younger people that identify as LGBT or whatever. I just do not believe that we're doing them any favors right now with how the community is having that conversation. Because number one, we're teaching them to be victims. And number two, we're teaching them that the entire world has to shift based on what they feel today.
Narcissism at its core. That's narcissism.
It is narcissism at its core. After I got arrested for protesting Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and I do, speaking engagements like all over the country, and I was talking to a lot of LGBT youth, I never wanted them to be a victim. I always wanted them to know how powerful they are. And I don't see that message anymore. The message that I see right now is that you're a victim, you're a victim, you're a victim.
Everywhere. It's victim culture right now in America and beyond the walls of America.
And I never knew that would become a source of quote unquote power.
It's
being
not
a victim.
power. It's not empowering at all.
To some of them it is.
It's not. It just allows them to collectivize and allows them to gain power against their political opponents, which we talk about all the time. You and I are intimately involved in Blexit.
Yes.
So it's either it's gay, it's trans, it's lesbian, it's because you're black, it's because you're a woman. There are all of these movements, but at the core of it, it's selling victimhood so that they can achieve power, political power, and dominance over the media and the narrative is what I believe. But I want to shift gears here, and I want to talk to you about the place that gay and lesbians have within the conservative political discussion. And we've seen people that have come up and we have people like Dave Rubin.
Yes.
We have people like Milo. We have people, I want to talk about that because they're different. They're completely different elements here.
There are different people there's some people that have a lot that is very interesting to say, and there's some people who just want to be trolls. Now,
Right.
I was profiled in with a bunch of other gay conservatives in a New York Times piece, and what I said is that I don't see a lot of movement leaders. I see a lot of Twitter trolls and social media trolls. Now, when you look at Dave Rubin, this is somebody that has a lot of different ideas, and he can articulate those ideas, and he can talk about those ideas, and he can be respectful to people that don't necessarily agree with him about those ideas. And then when you look at a Milo, and it's like fat, angry, feminist, lesbian, like hate them. So you have this conversation that is all about degrading other people and being provocative and trying to be funny and be a comedian and doing all that stuff. Like, to me, that's just not serious.
Right.
And I don't like being, you can speak the Rob Smith name next to Dave Rubin all you want. Like, that would be an honor for me. You know what I mean? To be involved in that kind of discourse. But don't say my name next to Milo. Right. Don't say my name next to some of these people who are not bringing anything to the conversation, but just being trolls,
Yeah, so it's interesting because, I mean, did we need somebody provocative, though, to break in the wall?
Yes.
Do you get what I'm saying? Like, Milo started as this sort of geeky Breitbart tech editor, and he actually he's very smart.
Yeah.
He wrote very intelligent pieces about all of these things and critiqued them, and then sort of moved into more of a celebrity space.
Yeah. And I will say this. I mean, I guess I don't want to clean it up or anything like that, but I will say that, like, if there was no Milo, like, there would be no me.
Right. So that's an interesting thing to consider.
I always say that.
Yeah. Did he knock down the door?
He did.
But and then was unable to sort of pull it back and realize that being more, because think about this all the time. So like I'm really against the gay pride parade, and this is like I'm just switching, kind of talking about the same thing here.
And we'll argue about that.
Well, I'm so against it. I think it's gotten so cheesy and sleazy, and like, to me, like I said,
cheesy, sleazy, a little bit queasy.
Sleazy, and a little bit queasy. Yes, exactly. And to me, like, when I think of gay people, I just don't think of people in thongs making out wearing a rainbow flag. I think of like the most respectable people. I think of the Dave Rubins. Like, everyone that I've been around and exposed to, they were hard workers. They were diligent.
Yeah.
Like I said, my creative director, he's one of the smartest people I know, and he works so hard. And I think that does a tremendous disservice when it's like, we're going to do drugs and we're going to wear thongs and we're going to wear a rainbow flag and we're here.
I'll tell you this. This is where we're going to disagree.
Imagine if that was Blexit. Imagine if I said,
here's
how we're going to say black people are going to be conservatives.
That could never.
I'm putting on a thong and we're wearing, you'd be like, what is black conservatism about?
Okay, so this is what I'm going to say, Candace, and this is where I'm going to push back on that. I believe that there's space for the Pride Parade. There'll always be space for the Pride Parade because it's always going to be somebody's first Pride. Now, you know me as this right here, which is great. Now,
Ooh.
I have, that
means there's an old Rob Smith.
There's an old Rob Smith.
Old everyone.
There's an old everybody. I've been shirtless, like, on the top of a float during the Pride Parade. Like, I really have. I mean, it's out there.
Do we have a research team?
Yeah, right.
We will now.
We will now.
Yeah. Get some off on that.
Inserts clip of Rob Smith. Jumping.
I just like, woo. I mean, I've done all that, and I did it when I was younger. So I would never want to get to a place where I'm like, because I don't believe in the politics of respectability.
Right.
For me personally, I don't believe in that. So I would never want to get to a place where it's like, oh, I'm respectable now, and other people shouldn't be doing that. No, because like I was like kissing boys and being shirtless, and I was like doing all that stuff when I was younger. And I think that there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like there's a space for that.
You're changing my mind a bit, because they're making me think like there was youth Candace, and youth Candace needed to be wild, and I could see that, especially if you're gay and you're coming out, you need to know there's a home for you. And
you need to know, and that's a part of the evolution, I think, of the gay community,
right?
Where there are people out there that are doing all that stuff. What I have seen, though, as we get to a point as gay men, that we are becoming, quote unquote, more respected or operating different circles of society, whatever, people kind of grow up and grow out of that.
Got it.
And I see the younger guys growing out of that earlier and earlier.
Got it.
To where, in my day and age, like, you would really like hit it hard until you're 30 and then be like, oh, okay. They're done by like 24. These boys are getting married by, 26, 27.
Right.
So there's a space for that, and I understand what you're saying, and I understand that some of the view to outside can be, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing this.
I think you changed my mind on it, actually.
There's a space for it.
Yeah, I think, it's just the youth. Like, youth Candace, I mean, we got to burn all of the tapes. Youth Candace was wild, too.
Yeah, you're not going to see this, Rob.
Right.
Shirtless and in a rainbow thong or anything like that, but,
Rainbow thong.
Rob 10 years ago, Rob 10 years ago had his fun.
Right.
And I don't want to take that from those boys.
Yeah, they need it. And I especially know, like, all of the people that I grew up with that were gay. We knew they were gay, but they weren't out as gay.
Yeah.
They all went through this tremendously hard time, were really involved in drugs and drinking, and obviously it was just them trying to not acknowledge. And I can't imagine. I genuinely cannot imagine how hard it must be to feel like you have to hide who you are and who you love.
Well, when I was in the military, it was like that, because I served under Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and it's really... It's damaging being in the closet in that way, because not only was I in the closet and like trying to figure that stuff out for myself, but it was also like, oh, if you come out of the closet, then you're fired. You get kicked out. And, I'm from Ohio and I'm a first generation college student, and I went to serve my country and go to school and to do all of that stuff. And for me, that was kind of like my ladder out of growing up, poor, working class, lower middle class, whatever you want to call it. And for that to have been taken away from me like that, because of who I am, was bad.
Were you out before you went to the military?
I wasn't even out to myself before I went in.
Wow, this is so interesting. Can you tell me about your coming out story?
So my coming out story, when I finally came out to myself and kind of like realized that I'm gay, this is different, I came out to my mother over the phone. She was not happy with it. She said, this isn't what God intended. Like, it was just all of this other stuff. So that sent me to a place where I was suicidal for a little bit. And I kind of like dealt with that and moved on. So coming out for me, and this is going back to the whole gay pride and like that experience, I served in Fort Carson, so I was at Colorado, and going to my first pride in Denver as a 19-year-old, that was newly out. Like, that was so special to me.
Right.
And being able to be free and kind of like flirt with guys, like that was a whole new realm to me, because there's nothing inherently wrong with being gay. It's a sexual orientation. It's experienced in all species and all that stuff. But society can put onto you this idea that it's wrong to be who you are. And so I see the pride parades as a place where some of these guys can experience that for the first time.
And then you see Bob, after Rob went through all of this and he decided, okay, he came out and then he went to the parade. He said, how can I make my life more complicated? And he said, I'm going to be a conservative.
Yes, I did.
I'm going to be a black, gay conservative.
I'm going to become America's favorite black guy.
Smart. Yeah.
I'll tell you, Candace, literally a year ago at this time, I was like, because I used to work in journalism. I still am in media, but I used to be like straight up journalism. And I was very frustrated by not being able to be open about my political beliefs because they were to the right of everybody else. Now, if you're working in journalism, you can be as far left as you want to and be out with it, blah, blah, blah. But when you start thinking about, legal immigration, all that stuff, you have to be silent about it. And I was actually visiting my best friend in Las Vegas this time last year. And I was like, you know what? I know the power of visibility. And I know that if you're going to do it, you have to go full force. And so I said, if I don't come out as a black gay conservative and let people know that anybody can be conservative, then somebody else is going to do this. And I'm going to watch them do everything that I'm doing right now because I knew the power in that visibility. And that's when I decided to go do this. And it was scary because I had a decent career in journalism. I was, writing and working and doing on camera for everywhere. And I knew that in order to do this, like, I had to throw that all away. I had to let it go because there was no way I could go back there in being my authentic self as a conservative.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
You're a good person to ask this question too. Which has been harder, coming out as gay or coming out as conservative?
Coming out as conservative has been harder, Candace. And I'll tell you why. When I came out as gay, the mom stuff notwithstanding, because, we worked through that. I didn't lose friends when I came out as gay. I didn't have people that were coworkers telling me like all that stuff. I have lost acquaintances and so many friends that I thought were decent friends because I came out as conservative. I've had people tell me that I have a mental illness. I have people tell me that this is like I'm being used as a tool for white supremacy. I hate myself. I hate gay people. I'm transphobic. I'm alt-right. I'm a white supremacist. I'm a Nazi. I'm all of these crazy things. And it has not been easy. Like, it's been really difficult. And when you come out as gay, people are like, congratulations, nowadays, we love you for being your authentic self. But now that I'm out as conservative, it's like, oh, you're just doing this for attention, or you're just doing this for money, you're doing this, whatever. Like, do you really want to get the kind of attention that I get? Because 90% of that attention is not positive.
That's what I say to people. And I've made, actually, my very first YouTube video was coming out as conservative. Yeah. And it was sort of a satirical stab. And I was basically saying that coming out as a black conservative today is a bit like coming out as gay in the 80s, where the whole society turns against you. So it's laughable to me when people challenge us and they say, you're doing this for money, you're doing this for glory, you're doing this for fame. I'm like, do you know what we have to go through on a daily basis? The easy thing would be for me to act like Angela Rye, to go up on CNN and cry and say Trump's America is racist, and and to be Jussie Smollett. I mean, it's so much easier to pretend to be a victim.
And
then you'll get instant coverage. People will love you. They'll celebrate you to do what we're doing.
Yeah, it's hard. And going what I'm going through right now, which I told you I was going to be a part of a panel of LGBT conservatives. Just talking about how we came to be LGBT conservatives. We're going to do it at the LGBT Center of New York City. And now there was an uproar, a whole uproar on the internet. People, I think this actress from Grey's Anatomy tweeted about it, and people were complaining. They were like, well, you can't be at the center as an LGBT conservative because this is our safe space. But you're telling me that as a black gay man, just because I'm a conservative, that I'm some threat to other LGBT people when I speak my mind at the LGBT Center?
Right.
Which is crazy to me.
That's supposed to be a safe haven for all lesbians, all gays, all trans people.
Yes.
But you have an ideological difference.
Yes.
And what is that ideological difference?
Yes.
That you can be a victor.
Yes.
Right? That you don't have to be a victim all the time. That you can be in control of your own destiny, and instantly now you're discriminated against.
Now I'm discriminating. And that is what I'm trying to tell the younger LGBT generation so much, is that don't suck down the victimhood that these people are trying to give you, because they only want to control you. They only want to feed you misinformation so that you can continue to vote Democrat. And right now, like, some of our legacy media, like some of our Out Magazine and The Advocate and all of these places, these are not outlets for our community. They are media arms of the Democratic Party. I've seen how they twist and smear and misreport. Out Magazine did a piece on this event about this controversy, did not contact me for a single quote. It was completely one-sided.
The media is owned by the left.
Yeah, it's owned by the left.
It's fake news.
And so I see that, and I'm telling, and I saw how they jumped on Jussie Smollett and how they completely misreported that story from the beginning.
Because they wanted it to be true, because it fit
wanted
into
it
their
so
narrative.
badly.
It allows
So
them to
badly.
gain power. It allows them to look like they're the good guys.
Yeah.
But I, in the same way that I say that all of these black interest groups like the NAACP and these black leaders like Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson don't legitimately care about black people at all, but they've made their money. Like you were saying earlier, they've made their money, so they have to make sure that the victim narrative stays alive. They don't
have
never
to.
want to get to a place
never do.
where blacks and whites are getting along. In fact, they will make sure that we are never in a space in this country where blacks and whites are getting along. Similarly, the people that have made their money off of real issues in the gay community, they never want to make sure that we're seamlessly. I personally do not think living in America as a gay person is a challenge anymore because of the virtue signaling culture. They love it. They want you to
And
be
they
gay.
will-
They
and-
want you to be lesbian. It makes them feel good about themselves to say, I still love you, honey.
It's crazy. And gays and lesbians right now, particularly gay men, will, and this is one of the reasons why I came out as conservative, because they will tell you that they are so oppressed right now as gay men living in America. This is the best country, one of the best countries, if not the best in the world for gay men right now. Nobody's throwing gay men off rooftops. Okay, nobody's stoning us to death on the streets, but there are places in the world where that happens.
Right. And oddly enough, they celebrate those people and those places.
And they celebrate
and-
that stuff. Post Orlando. Terrorist kills 49 gays and lesbians. That was my red pill moment.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, Post Orlando was my red pill moment.
Interesting.
When a terrorist walked into Post Orlando, killed 49 gays and lesbians. The morning after that, I woke up and this is like, it's actually still kind of difficult for me to talk about to this day, but I woke up and I just found out about this, and I just went to the man who's not my husband, and I just cried in his arms, like I was just bawling, you know? And for me, as somebody that was a good little lefty at the time, I wanted to hear, because the Democrats are supposed to take care of me because I'm black and gay, I wanted to hear them come out and condemn terrorism. I wanted them to be forceful. I wanted to say that this is not going to happen. What did they do? Oh, well, guys, we don't know this is terrorism. Like, we don't want to be Islamophobic. Oh, and
It's
then
a religion of peace. Before they even say that they feel bad for the victims, they will
Yes.
say, we must not even talk about the fact
Yes.
that this was in line with a religious ideology. They won't talk about it. They're
they
scared to
don't.
talk about
and
it.
what they would rather do before that, and this is why I say the media, the LGBT media, and the people who are supposed to be our quote unquote representatives in the media, F that up big time.
Right.
When Jonathan Capehart writes a blog for the Washington Post where he traffics in conspiracy theories about whether that terrorist was a closeted gay man, this wasn't terrorism, like this was about being closeted. And so they traffic in these conspiracy theories. None of those conspiracy theories were borne out. This was a man that committed a terrorist attack and 49 gays and lesbians were killed. And it's like, we're not even allowed to talk about that. And that to me, it irritates me to no end, and it lights that fire under me, even though I do believe that you can talk about the role of radical Islam and terrorism and not be Islamophobic.
Of course you can.
You can talk about the role in homophobia in that radicalization and not be Islamophobic.
That's not even radical though. I mean, that's like that is actually just a part of the ideology.
Yeah.
If they're throwing gay people off of buildings in
Yeah.
these countries, that's not even considered radical. That's just, we don't believe that women should be gay, and yet nobody in America will talk about that.
And there's so many people, there's so many gays and lesbians, particularly gay men, who will contact me privately, who will DM me at Facebook or whatever, and be like, oh my God, we're so glad that you're saying that, because I feel like I can't say it. I feel like if I'm going to, the GLAAD Media Awards, or if I'm going to wherever, I can't say this because I'll be excommunicated. But it's just like, if we can't say this, then who's supposed to say this? If we can't stand up and fight for ourselves, if we can't stand up and speak for ourselves against that, who else is going to do it? They slam me for saying that, the Trump administration is part of this global effort to decriminalize homosexuality.
Huge.
In the places across the world where you can still be jailed and imprisoned for being gay. You can still be beaten.
It's law. It's
in the street
government
and
law.
killed.
That's what I mean.
It's
This
government
isn't
law.
radical. It's government law in these places, and yet you say it in America, and they say that you're Islamophobic,
Yeah.
and yet they give a platform to people like Linda Sarsour, and it's just, to me, it's all so convoluted and
Yes,
crazy.
yes.
And what it comes down to is just people aren't educated.
Yeah.
People aren't educated.
And it's at the point right now, this is what the left wants to do. And they have this idea, and this is why 2020 is going to shock them to their core. They think that if they build this group of people who are united only by the fact that they are not straight white men, okay, that this is the group of people, it's a big tent and everybody's here and they're going to vote for us just because we're all united by the fact that we're all not straight white men. They got a big surprise coming up, all right, in 2020, because there are so many people on the right that are conservatives that have no issue with black people or Latinos or Asians or Muslims or gay people or lesbians, whatever. We are united because we love America.
That's correct.
They are divided because they hate America.
Right. They hate America. They hate Trump. And actually, if you sat them down and talk about their own ideas, they wouldn't be in lockstep because none of it makes sense, right? You can't have feminism in the same tent as radical Islam, right? You can't have, and we're seeing it happen. We're seeing sort of this, to me, I agree. I think 2020 is going to be a landslide, and it's because they are reading the temperature wrong again, right? Because they're just so noble and they virtue signal so hard that they are not listening to voices like ours that are popping up and saying that we don't want this anymore. We want to feel united. We don't want to hate people. I don't want to hate someone because they're white or because they're not straight or because they're Muslim or because they or to be united in our hate for someone. Like because
and I don't like that, and I don't like the idea, and even you and I together, because you have people that are liberals on this show as well. This idea that we cannot talk to people that are on other sides of the political aisle, like, we need to get out of that.
Right.
People, like, on both sides, like, everybody needs to get out of that echo chamber. The friends that really stuck with me, my very close friends, and I'm talking my family, my husband, my best friends, have stuck with me throughout this entire evolution and throughout all of these things that I'm doing, no matter how controversial I get. They're always there because they love me. Because there are people that are always going to be there for me. And it pains me when I get these messages and when I hear that people have friends from kindergarten or family members or things like that, and they're being separated over politics.
Right.
Because they have built the president into this monster, this demon that must be slayed for the right of all mankind or something like that. To me, it's crazy. And let me tell you something. The president's going to win again in 2020. And I think that is going to be what needs to happen in order for people to say, okay, we got to start coming together.
Right. We're in the midst of a political realignment is the way that I see it.
Yes.
And we're watching the media, the mainstream media is dying. The birth of alternative media is taking off right now. People would rather listen to my podcast, the Ben Shapiro podcast, listen to Dave Rubin's podcast, than to listen to the mumbo jumbo that comes on CNN because that's hate. And we're talking about tolerance and love and real conversations. They're craving truth.
Yeah.
Nobody got harmed during this conversation.
No, they did
Nobody
not.
gets hurt.
Maybe a couple
These are
feelings.
just ideas, some feelings. What's next for you?
God, what's next for me?
I have an idea.
Yeah. Oh no.
I heard something off camera. Should I say it?
No.
I should say it. I can't keep my mouth shut. I say everything.
Please don't. Please.
Oh my God!
Because
I could make it hurt right now. I could just say it.
Please.
Right?
It is recorded.
If that happens, everybody will know. But I have to prepare my family for that if that happens. So, what's next? What's next for me? What I can say right now is that I'm working with Turning Point USA as one of their contributors right now. So I'm doing a lot of cable news for them. I'm speaking at a lot of events for them, and that for me is just so amazing because I like getting in touch with college age kids, and I like preaching this message to them, and I also think that that's where the energy is right now.
Right.
And there's also a couple of more media things that are in the corner for me, and maybe
Would you ever
maybe
run
some
for
political
office?
things, huh?
Would you ever run for office? I think you should.
If I pray and talk to my husband and talk to a lot of the people that love me and we all decide that this is the path that I should take, I would absolutely run. I love America. I believe in this country. I do. You have to understand, I am from a lower middle class background in Ohio. I served in the military. this country has given me so much. And I do sometimes miss being of service in the way that I was when I was serving.
I see that. You have the Dan Crenshaw vibes, and I
The Dan
think we need
Crenshaw
more people
vibes.
like that. We need leaders. I think you are a true leader in the LGB, maybe knock off the TQRS, LMNOP, but whatever. In within the gay space, I think you're a true leader and you're bringing thoughtful conversations. I want to commend you on that.
Thank you.
Here's how we wrap every episode.
Okay.
All right?
Let's wrap it.
Bub has this amazing timer. You have this amazing camera.
Okay.
And you have to pretend that the entire world is going to see what you say. Your monologue for the next 2 minutes. You get 2 minutes on the clock and he will stop you.
Oh, man.
And you get to leave a message. Drop it on the entire world. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Set.
Yes.
Go.
My name is Rob Smith. I'm America's favorite Black gay Republican. I am here to tell you that no matter what your color is, your sexual orientation, where you're from, any of that other crap, you can still love this country because I love it. It has given me so much. And if I can give you anything right now, is that to figure out a way that you can be of service to this country. It doesn't matter if you're right, left, center, or anywhere in between. This is a place where I was able to serve. This is a place where I'm able to have dialogue with so many different people that are different from me. This is a place where I met my husband, the love of my life, that I'm able to marry. Be free to walk and hold hands with him on the street and to do so many things that as a gay man I can't do in so many other places in the world. If you love this country like I do, figure out how you can be of service to it. Figure out how you can speak to people that are different from you.
Love that.
Yeah.
Was so great.
Yeah, that's what I feel. That's
a wrap.
That's a wrap.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Oh my God.
Easy peasy.
Are we wrapped?
It seems so simple, and then
Yeah.
suddenly we're going to be in trouble.
And then oh God, we're gonna be in so much trouble.